Hi, everyone. I'm Barbara Ham-Lee. A different kind of show today on Another View. It's the 2016 edition of the Another View Poetry Slam. We have 3 outstanding poets and spoken word artists who will share their original works on all kinds of subjects. In the studio is Godchild, Shonda Buchannnan, and Robbie Ciara, a.k.a. Eris. Today is also the last day of our Radio Pledge Drive, and I want to personally invite you to become a member of WHRV-FM. It's easy. Just dial 889-9476 and be sure to tell the volunteer you're calling to support Another View. And to sweeten the pot, we will match your gift of support dollar for dollar up to $2,500. So call now and double your gift of support for Another View. Let's head over to Pledge Central and see how we're doing. Hey, Sandra, how are you?
I'm just glad for so many reasons. First one being that we are winding down our fall membership drive. It has been a fantastic 7 days, and we're in the final hours of it. So that's a good thing. It's a great thing that it's Pet Pledge Friday, of course. It's a great thing to be able to spend the next couple of hours with you, Barbara, and your guests.
Yes.
This is very exciting. When Barbara told me yesterday, I have to say, that this is going to be the spoken word show, that just doubled my enthusiasm for being able to be here to help out during the pledge drive, during Another View. This is going to be exciting to listen to some really good poetry. And speaking of double the pleasure, of course, we're doubling the impact of the pledge that you make to Another View. So, you hear the words appointment viewing, appointment listening thrown out there a lot. It's kind of an industry term for, we know that you are setting your dial or your alarm to make sure that you're listening at this time to Another View. That's what appointment viewing or appointment listening is all about. And Another View is one of those shows that I know that you tune into on Friday afternoon, because it's here at noon. You know it's going to be here, and you can enjoy your lunch listening to today some great poetry. So if that is the case, if you find yourself here every Friday to listen to Another View, gosh, I hope you are a member. And if you're not, it's really simple to become a member. You dial 889-9476, 757-889-9476. If you're listening online right now, there's a little button up in the right-hand corner. You can click on that and become a member that way, too.
Yes, because you can stream Another View live while we're on the air right now.
Aren't you have a camera, too, or something?
Absolutely, at anotherviewradio.org. And yes, I am on camera right now. But we do want you to become a member of WHRV, because your membership support means that shows like Another View can stay on the air. So we really appreciate everyone who has already given. I appreciate all of you who I run into when I'm out and about throughout Eastern Virginia, and you tell me how much you love the show and so forth. So I'm asking you now to support what you love, which is Another View. 889-9476. That's the phone number to call. Or if you are online, you can just go to WHRO.org and push the button, and
there you are.
It will be taken care of. Very easy.
And you may say, well, how much does it cost? And you know what? It costs whatever works for your budget. And
Absolutely.
The folks that on the other side of that 889-9476 will set you up with a membership that works for you. It could be a couple bucks a month. It could be a couple bucks a week. A couple bucks a day works too. Whatever works for you right now, and for your budget, you are a member. Just like that, you're in the family. And right now, it's double. Whatever you put in is double.
Absolutely.
Up to $2,500.
And Sandra, guess what? Someone told me last night. I was at the ODU Women's Center celebrating 40 years last evening, and Steve Bell, who is one of the instructors, he takes care of the foreign exchange program over at ODU. He said, you know what? He said, I'm a sustainer for WHRO, WHRV. He said, because I pay my light bill, I pay the phone bill, and I pay my knowledge bill.
Oh, I like
that. And I love that. I just think that is just so very, very cool.
And
so
you mentioned the idea of being a sustainer, and what that means is, we talk about memberships, and a lot of people think of memberships as like a yearly thing, and that's what we've done traditionally here for a long time. But over the last couple of years, we've gotten into the sustainer thing, which you don't have to think about whether or not it's time to renew. We withdraw however much it is out of your account every month. for as long as you say. You tell us to stop, we stop. However you want to do it. And that way you're not thinking, oh my gosh, do I need to renew? You don't have to worry about it. It's done. And you can listen to these pledge drives purely for entertainment purposes, which is, of course, what they are. 889-9476, 757-889-9476. I don't know if you know this, Barbara, but we've had quite a day so far. $41,225 is what we raised just today.
That's fantastic.
And, of course, it's Pet Pledge, and I think that has a little something to do with it. Folks like to call call in and pledge on behalf of their cats and dogs. And apparently we've had sugar gliders and chickens and birds and horses.
And I just found out what a sugar glider is.
You did not know this?
No, I did not know what a sugar glider was.
They're kind of adorable.
And my guests looked at me like, what?
They don't know either?
Nope. You want to share what a sugar glider is?
I have to. Somebody's going to smack me down for this. I think they're in the rodent family, but they're like little flying squirrels. That's what they look like. Little tiny flying chipmunks. That's what they look like. Little flying chipmunks.
Okay. So we got about 20 seconds left. So I just want to make sure that people know 889-9476 is the number to call.
Dollar for dollar match.
Dollar for dollar match. And we will be talking with you in just a little while, Sandra. Thank you so much.
Thank you. Let's get our poetry on.
All righty. Absolutely.
Discussing today's topics from an African American perspective, this is Another View.
Hello, everyone. Welcome back to Another View. It's a very special Another View today because we will showcase some of the most outstanding poets in Hampton Roads. But first, let me say thank you to all of you who have made your pledge of support to Another View and WHRV-FM. Your membership ensures that we can continue to bring you the shows you've come to rely on. Morning Edition, All Things Considered, Fresh Air, Hearsay with Kathy Lewis, and of course, Another View. The Another View team is grateful for your support. You can become a member right now by dialing 889-9476 and be sure to tell the volunteer that you are calling in support of Another View. Also, a quick reminder, the deadline to register to vote has been extended to 11:59 p.m. tonight. So if you tried to register online and couldn't do it because the system crashed earlier this week, you have until just before midnight tonight to get it done. Go to elections.virginia.gov. Please, we need everyone to be registered. We need everyone to vote. Now on to today's show. 3 outstanding poets and spoken word artists who have lots on their mind and they express it through poetry. Godchild, the Omen, co-hosts Virginia's largest spoken word venue, Urban Safari. He is currently working on his second book called The Healing and his solo CD, Rector Scale Rhetoric. Please welcome back to Another View, Godchild. How are you?
I'm wonderful. How are you?
Good. I am so happy that you're here.
Yes,
Thank
ma'am.
you so much
Same
for
here.
joining us. And also, Shonda Buchannnan is an assistant professor in the English department at Hampton University. She's also an award-winning poet, memoirist, and fiction writer. She's been featured on NPR's Tell Me More, and we're always happy when she's here as a guest on Another View. Hey, Shonda.
Hey, thanks, Barbara.
Thanks so much for joining us again. And our final poet is Robbie Ciara, also known as Eris. Robbie teaches English at Old Dominion University and recently received his master's in fine arts in creative writing from ODU. He's a longtime fixture on the spoken word circuit, hosts ODU's annual poetry slam, and is poetry editor for Barely South Review. He is also the son of news anchor Barbara Ciara and a good friend of mine. Robbie, welcome to Another View.
Thank you, Barbara.
So good to have you with. So I am so excited to, and what I want to do, I think, is right off the bat have each one of you do one of your poems, okay? And we'll start with you, Godchild. Whatever's on your mind.
When I wrote this a few years ago, it was for like a battle of the sexes type poetry competition, and it ended up being a piece. It was like take a famous work and make it your own. So I took one of my favorite poets, Langston Hughes, A Dream Deferred, and I did this.
Okay.
What happens to a dream deferred? I don't know, because my dream, it constantly occurs. See, I woke up on the mic, featured artist of the night in front of a crowd, and the only sound was my poem, but I don't remember it. It's like I'm always here. A reoccurring dream, blissful yet maddening, like I can hear everyone who wants to hear what I have for their ears. I've been having this dream for years. See, the crowd is deafening with silence, with fake whispers of compliance. Have you ever gotten a standing ovation for what you did while you were asleep? Unconscious to your own heartbeat, I've gotten bed sores on stage after pen kiss paged and had intercourse with my brain, but this is not pillow talk. This is actually living thought when you can't tell reality from reality. Like if I woke up and did exactly what I dreamt, it's creation in a sense. On some being it is type, like from nothing to something to everything. From nowhere to now here in an instance is vague like defining existence. But just as deliberate is showing you my dream and how I did it. So when you see me on stage, my universe is on exhibit after my likeness and image. So don't sleep on your dream for a minute. That way you can't wake up and live it. I mean, God forbid if you snooze bar on your own Allah. I feel sorry for the wide awake who forsake their subconscious when they hear their autobiography being read by another author. I now know what happens to a dream deferred. It dries up like a raisin in the sun, it festers like a sore, then runs, stinks worse than rotten meat, tastes nothing like sugar, is bitter sweet, it sags like a heavy load, then explodes in the face of the person it originally chose when they hear someone living out the dream that they once owned.
Wow. That's awesome. Do you want to do
right now?
Awesome.
You want to do the finger snap? Absolutely.
Gotcha.
All right, Shonda.
So this poem is a poem I wrote after my husband and I visited Berkeley Plantation. It is my fault when we enter the master's house unaccompanied. My husband and I, we are wrists in the sleeves of yesteryear. Berkeley Plantation on the James River, sassafras summer. It is the end of a hot day in Virginia. The empty house, its silences, its ghosts beckon me. Hallway is wide, decent rooms, cupboard smell, stately portraits above mantels, white faces, chipped porcelain and china, things black hands have cleaned. My husband pauses. I sigh. We are the stories hundreds of years ago that white interpreters tell, yet my picture is not in this house. Y'all can't be in here, a voice calls. She comes, dressed in petticoat and apron, an interpreter. Stern, seems upset that we have traced our ancestors' footsteps. She has forgotten her training, thinks we might take something, I can tell. No, it's private property now, she says. Private property, property, property. That word again. Will I ever know the lace of it? A slave's life, a denied drink of water, womb vacuumed, arms empty of child. Shouldn't admission be free for us? I turn to go, but instead I turn back asking if my ancestors worked this land, shouldn't I be able to walk it? Suddenly smaller, eyes alert, aware, apologetic. She slowly shakes her head. What would I take back? Steal? The betrayal of humanity? The stories interpreters tell? The long ache of time?
Wow. Wow.
That property line, that's what got me.
Honestly, I know. Property,
Again.
property,
Again with that
property.
word.
Wow.
Property.
All right, Robbie. Eris, it's your turn.
This poem is called Skin Graft, and it was actually a response to, I was at some venue and someone, we get into a lot of great conversations, of course, about politics. And, the general question is, what are we going to do about this racism problem? I said, you mean the skin problem? And so this was my response to it. And the name of this piece is called Skin Graft. How to remove your skin in 3 easy steps. 1. Allow the skin to go untreated if it hasn't been bothersome. Skin isn't dangerous, nor does it cause any pain or medical problem at all. Bleaches and other products can also alleviate the weight of darker hues. Don't make your skin a problem if it's only a nuisance. Ask your doctor to remove your skin with a scalpel or scissors. Usually, doctors will remove skin by severing it at its base. This is painless and can be used to treat several skin types in one sitting. Removing your skin can be beneficial to the world. Doctors are readily available to splice genes, clone humans, freeze you until your skin problem can be cured in 200 years or more. Doctors have great skin. Ask your doctor to remove your skin by cauterizing it. Treating skin by electrolysis is usually a better way of ensuring that your skin will not reappear. It does not risk leaving a scar, meaning you can use this option on your visible areas, face, hands, feet. Other remedies include duct tape, tree oil, vitamin E, alcohol, depression, violence, seclusion, and death.
Wow, you guys. Oh my goodness.
That's awesome.
So here's the thing I want to ask you, because I watched each of you as you are about to go into your poem, and you go someplace. Where do you go, Shonda? Where do you go?
I go to poet heaven. The place where you want to speak the honest truth for this calling, for this vocation. That's where I go, just to make sure I'm representing all the people who've come before me and all those who will come after.
Robbie?
I have to add on to that. It's about looking for that place. For me, where was I at when I gave birth to that piece, when I connected with that piece? So I kind of want to get back to that moment where I can give it its honest reading.
What about you, Godchild? Where do you go?
Within, like I tell my youth poets, which are ranked number 2 on planet Earth. Yes, Hampton Roads Youth Poets.
That's right.
Norfolk, Virginia.
Nice.
Yes,
on
yes,
Earth.
congratulations.
Yes. I tell them when you before you perform, the only thing that should exist is your poem. That's the only thing that's going on. Focus on every last word and emphasize every last word, because sometimes you can have a piece and been saying it for years and probably don't convey it right. Didn't say it right. It's some pieces that I have that I'm still reciting to this day because I didn't say them right.
Before.
Then, and some people will come and heard that poem before and be like, yo, that's a new piece. I'm like, no, that's like 8-9 years old. I've been doing that forever. So it's like just focusing on every last word that comes out.
So if I asked you to do that exact same poem again that you've just done, would you do it the same way?
No.
Never.
It's never the same
Never
way.
the
No, we all
same.
can
It's
agree
never
to that.
cadence.
Okay. So talk to me about spoken word, and why is that? What is spoken word compared to poetry, or is it poetry in another form? Let me go to you first, Godchild.
Yeah.
What is spoken word?
To me, it's like I would say performance poetry. It's something like a vignette. You're reenacting that scene, because you can't say every poem the same. You don't have the same inflections on your voice. This one upset. This one joking. This one talking about an in-depth, whatever topic. And just like I was saying, visit those places and own those places. There's sometimes even a poet I saw years ago, he had a piece about his daughter was hit by a stray bullet and she died, and he's on stage, he's crying at the end of the piece, and he doesn't have a daughter.
Wow.
Yeah.
Had everybody in there like feeling guilty and feeling, he visited that place, so he was in it. He was there, and then he's got to get off, and he's all disheveled and got to wipe his face, and all right, I don't got a daughter. Okay, I just did a poem.
Wow. So you really do pull yourself
got
into
to
it.
go there. You have to.
Spoken word,
Yeah,
Shonda.
I think it's interesting. It's, the same for me. I think spoken word definitely has that sense of cadence. It has that sense of, people memorize their poetry, so it's poetry off the page. You're not reading. There's definitely a sense of, I don't want to say combativeness with, the listener, but there's the sense of, whatever the poem is about, there's this like a social, cultural, political, bent to it. So for me, that's spoken word. And then also I should say there's that flow, that he blew shadows on the wall, diamond tears glistening in his beard. He blew shadows on the wall, so that's like my spoken word poem, that I pull out. And then for other poems, it's like, okay, I'm reading this on the page, but I want to make this come alive for the audience, So there's spoken word poetry, then there's page poetry.
Okay, so there is a difference in
there's
the writing.
Definitely a difference, yes.
in the way that you write it.
Yeah, there's definitely a difference. I mean, I can read a piece meant for the page, but when I spoken word, there's so many different aesthetics that come with spoken word. Especially recently, I think Godchild can attest to this. The last 10 years, there's been a serious influx of hip hop aesthetics in spoken word. A lot of those elements have kind of taken over spoken word a little bit. So yeah, I think that's the major thing for me.
We had Clint Smith on the show a couple weeks ago. He was just phenomenal. Awesome. But and then I went to see him at Virginia Wesleyan College that evening, and he was talking about the etiquette of the poetry slam, or the etiquette of a spoken word gathering. So can one of you explain what the etiquette is? Yeah. In other words, he was talking about if there's a piece that you really like, you snap your fingers.
You snap.
Okay.
Yeah.
Oh, okay. Godchild's got some.
I come from a hard knock school of poetry. So basically, it would be, if you didn't like the poem, cricket. No one claps. No one applauds. There's no politeness. Like that's the spoken word school that I come from. If you do like a poem, yes, you can snap if you want, but people don't know, so we allow the clapping. That's perfectly fine. One of my students explained it to me. He said, but when you're not performing a poem at a slam, then you can applaud. You can applaud. So I said, all right, well, yeah, but my rules are different. If you don't like the poem, you
just don't.
No, you just don't give any accolade. But since I'm a teacher and a professor, when I'm in class, I'm not like that. I am, okay, that was really great. Let's think of some ways that you can change, so we can work on the image, in that. So
you don't allow crickets in your classroom?
No, I don't allow crickets in the classroom. I don't allow crickets. I definitely encourage my students to move towards, that real image, whatever that real aesthetic is they want to affect in the poem. I encourage them towards it.
Okay, Godchild, what are you saying about the etiquette? It
varies, because I know that movie Love Jones. I hate that movie.
Oh no, I love
it a lot.
I was at the screening.
He said
poetry at that movie.
He said this before.
I dislike that movie so much. But it just really depends on the place, because even with going to I could say with the youth poets, if you go to like a Brave New Voices competition and see the youth there, it's almost like church, a little something. And the preachers up there, whatever message that the speaker is giving, is like they will respond in kind, they're
like
that's right, whatever, whatever snaps, people go, ooh, oh my goodness, or some of them have like such a touching piece, like you will see people reaching their hands out to them.
Wow.
Giving them energy. So you'll see like a few hundred kids like this.
Oh my
goodness. They're really feeling that piece. If they really, so it just varies, and the snaps and the claps and all that, all of it kind of combines. And with, giving up, the accolades right there on, hey, oh man, you heard what he said? Like, oh my goodness.
I love how the response is metamorphosized, like the poetry.
The poetry
has
does
itself metamorphosized.
It does with the place.
So Robbie, when you're on stage though, I mean, are you even aware, like you were saying to Godchild about the energy that people are sending you, but are you feeling that, or are you so lost in your performance that you're not quite sure what happened till it's over?
I'm really in another place. I mean, when they talk about staring over the crowd and all that, I may focus on one or two or three other people, and they'll come to me later like, oh, I see you were looking at me, and I'm like, was I? I don't remember that. Well, you really get caught up in the performance. I think that's what one of the beautiful things is about spoken word venues and those sort of venues, is that your performance is appreciated. You know, you get that energy, like Godchild said, they're giving you the energy, and so you feed off of that. So that's really cool.
So we asked Clint, since I was there and I heard his poetry, he's got a new book out, and we asked him to perform When Maze and Frankie Beverly Come in My House. And so let's take a listen.
Wow.
When Maze and Frankie Beverly come on in my house, Mom's eyes close. She raises the spatula as if she were going to orchestrate the gumbo into existence, turns the knobs that we feel the bass thundering in the walls. At the start of verse 1, she points to Pops, walks over, shoulders oscillating back and forth between the melody. Pops does the same dance he's been doing since 73. Left knee, right knee, pop, snap. Left knee, right knee, pop, snap. At the start of verse 2, Pops drops his shoulder, bites his bottom lip, and does some sort of spin move pivoting on his left foot. When he does this, it's unclear if he's hurt his back or if he's doing an unauthorized version of the sprinkler. The way his hands flip and turn and slap box the sky between them. The way Mom looks confused as to what exactly is happening. But she goes with it, 'cause she's fly like that, and has never left Pops hanging on the dance floor. At the start of verse 3, smoke alarms are going off in the kitchen. Their hands are clasped now, fingers interlocked, swinging each other back and forth. Their feet are now music of their own. At the end of the song, Frankie's voice begins to fade, but they keep dancing. She holds her hand on the back of his neck. He pulls her in closer. She looks at him, kisses him between the sweat rolling down his forehead. Then they laugh and laugh and laugh and laugh, long after the song has stopped.
Isn't that awesome? Can't you just,
Amazing.
isn't that amazing? I mean, you
That is
see it,
awesome.
and that is such an experience that happens in African-American households, where people are just, you're living the life, you're listening to the music, and it's just that moment that comes together. It's just,
Memories.
oh, wow.
Past, coming back.
Yes, very much so, very much so. So he was pretty awesome, and we called him, and he was kind enough to read that for us and our listening audience. So that was Clint Smith to our listening audience. So we got just a couple minutes before we have to go back to Pledge Central to see what's going on. Can someone do a poem that is less than a minute? Godchild, I'm going to look at you because you can do those short
That's the
ones, too.
master of the haiku right there.
Less than a minute.
Less than a minute. I'm like, wow.
It's haiku time.
Miss Buchanan, I would say
I've got one.
that's
You
short
got
right
one?
there.
Okay.
I got
Yeah.
your page.
So
Okay, go ahead. Go
this
ahead.
could be my hot flash poem, or this is this is called Last. Every now and then my husband asks me why I cook with the fire on high. My fried potatoes and onions firm, sunflowers sweet, my broccoli burdened still with its original green and the taste of tilled earth. My water boils furiously, delirious with heat. I look at him. How could he not know? The fire is a kind of breath too, and I am a black Indian woman who lives close to it, to flame and ash, to smoldering ember. It is all my history now, to caking steam that kisses the air and rises and rises and rises.
Wow. We like that.
Save it in-
Wow.
Exactly.
I need
Do you
to
have a
get
short
this.
one, Robbie?
I may have a short one. I don't know if I can follow that
Well,
one.
I tell you what.
I'm somewhere
I
else.
tell you what. If you're just joining us, we're enjoying spoken word performances of Godchild, Shonda Buchannnan, and Robbie Ciara, also known as Eris. It's spoken word music for your ears in the special pledge edition of Another View. We're going to take a quick break, and hopefully, Sandra, you're on the mic.
I'm here.
And see how we're doing in our membership drive.
I am here.
889-9476. How are we doing, Sandra?
Well, I think you have. First of all, we have two problems. One, I can't snap. That's the first problem we have, because I would like to say that I am snapping for this wonderful work that I'm hearing right now. Our second problem is this is so wonderful that I think people are afraid to call because they're going to miss something. So here's what I'm going to say right now. You're not going to miss anything. I'm not going to say anything interesting for the next 5 minutes. So please go to your phone and dial 757-889-9476 and support what you're hearing right now. Become a member of WHRV. 889-9476. We have a little challenge going on right now, up to $2,500. And here's the thing, Barbara, we're at $460.
Wow. Okay. We
So
need to get going
all
on
this
the
money
phone.
on the
Exactly.
table that we can take, but only if we can get to $2,500. So if you're
Yes.
listening to this Poetry Slam happening right here on the air right now, we're not going to do any now for about 5 minutes. Pick up the phone and make that pledge of support at 757-889-9476. Or if you're listening on your magic rectangle there's a little button up in the right-hand corner. I think it says donate now, pledge now, something like that. Click that and you're on your way to being a member and supporting this Poetry Slam.
889-9476. Or if you're out of the immediate area, it's 1-800-940-2240. No?
7470.
Okay,
1-800-940-7170.
I was calling the number to the station. I'm so sorry.
Oh, no.
At any rate.
We scream these numbers in our sleep at this point, so
you
know.
got that's true. But pick up the phone, please. Give us a call. It is very important that we know how you feel about Another View. That if it is important to you, if it is information that you look forward to on a weekly basis, we need you to call us right now. 889-9476. You can become a sustainer for as little as $5 a month. And
true.
That's all that it takes.
And sustaining is
so
ongoing.
easy, yes.
It is. It's ongoing. There's not this yearly membership thing where you got to worry about whether or not you need to renew or anything. It just comes out of whatever designated account that you give us access to every month until you tell us to stop. It's kind of like your gym membership, except this one you'll actually use. I stole that from somebody. I don't know who, but I love that. 889-9476, WHRV.org. We are curators of information. That's what we are. I'm listening to these fabulous spoken word folks. I'm thinking, gosh, they're so talented. I wish I were that talented. But you know what we're good at, Barbara? We're good at bringing those people together.
Yes, we are.
So the rest of the world can hear them. That's what we are good at here at WHRV. We curate this great information, this great this entertainment, this culture. It's all made possible by our members.
Yes.
That's what we say, member supported. That's what it's all about.
I talk to people all the time when I'm out and about, and they all say they can quote chapter and verse what they've heard on the air, what you've heard on the air. So become a member, and I promise you will not listen to this show the same way again.
No.
Because when you are a member, you take ownership. You feel really good about the programming, and you can say to others, I'm a member of WHRV. Why aren't you?
Yep.
So there you go. 889-9476 is the number to call. Another View, Hearsay. These are local shows that we bring you, and we try to bring you information about what is happening here in Hampton Roads and Eastern Virginia, but also on a national basis. So we bring you a little bit of everything. And if you value that, if you value the fact that we have local opportunities here to bring different voices to the airwaves, we really need your support. 889-9476 or WHRV.org. Either way, we talk to the volunteers, give your pledge of support, and we really appreciate that. Isn't that right, Sandra?
We do indeed. We've got this challenge money sitting on the table back there at the back of the room. It's $2,500, but we're not allowed to touch it unless we can raise $2,500. And we're up to about $460 right now, and you can hear those phones ringing,
Yes,
Barbara. So
yes,
I know
that's
people
a
are
good
taking
thing.
advantage of this pause in the spoken word so they don't miss anything, and we know you don't want to miss anything in the next half hour, and you won't. But we want you to call right now and support what it is that you come here every Friday afternoon to listen to Another View. 889-9476, 757-889-9476, WHRV.org. Help us get that $2,500 because bingo, it turns into $5,000 if we can get there.
And I want to let the audience know, last drive, which was last spring,
Right.
we raised a little over $8,000.
Did you?
So
Wow.
I'm going now, I know my folks are going to come through again and
They are,
help
but you know
us
what?
to be able
And
to
you
do that.
You have your folks that come through time and time again. But what I'm hoping, Barbara, is this time around you're going to get one of those folks that listens every Friday,
Yes.
but hasn't quite made that leap
That's
to
a very
being a
good
member.
point. That's a
So
very good point.
Make that be you. Make that be you. You're the one that comes here every Friday. You love Another View. You love what you're listening to right now. Why not try being a member? Try investing in it. 757-889-9476. It can be a couple dollars a month, a couple dollars a week, a couple dollars a day, whatever works for your budget. The folks on the other end of that line will set you up with a membership that meets your budget. 757-889-9476. It's a great time to do it right now. It's Pet Pledge Friday, of course. We're in the final hours of our fall membership drive. And dollar for dollar match happening right now.
Absolutely. So 889-9476. And you know what, Sandra? Last thing before I go, I think our poets may put together something very creative and very brand new about Pledge. So
I need to
tune
learn
in,
to snap
keep
between
listening.
now and then. Is that what you're saying? All right.
Exactly. 889-9476. I know you're listening to the show, but call us, please. Become a member of WHRV.
Thank you.
Thank you. And we are back with you all. So here's my question. What is different about today's poets than yesterday's?
That's a good question.
Okay, well, since you spoke first, what's the answer? What's different about it?
I think today's poets are...
And this is Robbie Ciara speaking, by the way.
I think today's poets are, dare I say, braver to be more experimental.
I agree.
I just feel like there's a lot of experimenting with new forms and new ways to...
Explain.
Well, a lot of our younger poets, of course, definitely have a huge hip hop influence. So before you may not hear certain breaks or certain forms, but now they are just kind of throwing out the rule book. We'll do some internal rhyming for the first few stanzas, and then we'll abandon that for, a few more, and then we'll go back to this. And it's just interesting some of the things they're putting together. It's quite interesting to read on page. Actually.
Very much a combination of the hip hop aesthetic as well.
Yeah,
I think old school poets. My people are Yusuf Komanyaka, Sonia Sanchez, and Intezaki Shange. Kamal Daoud. I mean, people who have like the sense of coming from, the Watts Writers Workshop and, coming from Amiri Baraka's, what was the workshop he founded in New York and that Sonia Sanchez became a member of. So for them, the old school poets it's still reinventing who we are as African Americans in this country, and still about reclaiming that identity. And I think for the young people, there is this inventiveness in the language and their delivery, but at the same time, they're trying to define themselves as well. And I love that, and I'm like, whatever you write, whatever you put on that page, just do it with the utmost honesty, of what you want to say. And so a lot of them are writing about what it means to be in love, what it means to be a young Black person in America. Oh my gosh, my Black Lives Matter poems from my students are just amazing, right now. And they feel like they're in a precarious time, and their poetry reflects that. So, so the delivery, still the sense of trying to identify, who they are, right now with the feeling that, don't shoot, and then also trying to be in
but that
love.
theme is still continues in terms of African Americans trying to define who they are and where they fit within this country.
Right.
All the way through. Godchild, what's different?
They really don't care about what you think.
Really? So they're really honest.
They will write about brutally honest, and they will write about topics that you probably never heard. They will put their own lives into those poems. They will talk about their upbringing, their parents, the mistakes they made. They could be right there in the crowd, and they are doing that poem. They are talking about social injustices, and I mean such strong language. I seen the girl do she did talking about the police, like, and the police were like right there, and she's like this tall, but she was like, she could have been 9'8" at that moment. She was just like so large, and I was just sitting there like, wow,
good for
like,
her.
And she was just right there in the community, like at one of the parks in Norfolk. I forget which one. I think it's Calvert Park, but she was right there in the courtyard, like going, and the police were just right there, and none of them clapped after.
Of course
home.
Not one.
Not one. Everybody else clapped. All the young Black, all the older Black ladies. Oh yeah, that's what I'm talking about, girl. And police over there is stoic, hand on his gun and on his taser, and I'm just sitting there like, wow, like, hey, I like you.
But
they don't care.
Isn't that beautiful how young people can be safe in poetry and vulnerable at the same time? I think all of us are. But for her to feel safe enough to read a poem like that is like her moment of defiance, and that builds her character, So I think that's a beautiful moment.
And that's her. That's her personality.
Yeah.
That's her all day, on stage and off stage.
Good.
That's her.
So, Robbie, read us another poem or perform another
Okay.
spoken word.
I
Piece.
can do another. This one is called Machine Gun Las Vegas, and this is actually a real place in Arizona.
Okay.
And this is part of my first manuscript called the Newsreel, and so I kind of take all these news stories I find from all over the country and I turn them into poetry and see what happens. So this is called Machine Gun Las Vegas. Sam Scarmato, owner, says the 9-year-old girl was mature for her age. She wanted to do it. Her parents were watching. Her parents were eating the best burger in America. They thought about upgrading to the helicopter package, wanted their daughter to be happy on her birthday. The 50-cow atmosphere is family fun, guaranteed to be the best adventure you'll ever have. She took one shot. Shook her head. She motioned, no mommy, no daddy. She wanted cake and candles and to laugh like girls laugh. Inhale, exhale. Air wants to be inside an innocent place. She wanted to breathe, but she couldn't. She lost control of the Uzi machine gun. It was not like the movies. It slithered, it shouted, it knew it was in virgin hands. She turned again. She turned to the left, and the Uzi spit through Charles Vega's head. He dropped. Her parents never stopped filming. It was a clean kill. It was a signed waiver. It was fully automatic. It is a place called Burgers and Bullets. It is open 7 days a week.
Wow.
I remember that story too. Of what happened. Oh wow, that's powerful. Godchild, what you got for me?
Stuff that single people write. They always have the best love poems.
Can I just say, I love Godchild's titles. That's my dude right there. Just his titles always on point.
All right, take us there.
I love you in a place where words are inadequate for sound and flesh doesn't do you justice. Your spirit shouldn't be clothed. When your company time shouldn't exist, it just puts limits on us, and you know how I hate barriers. I want us to be here a century longer than our lives allow, like death should have exceptions for us. I'd gladly give up heaven and hell because both would be a reality depending on whether you're here or not. In other words, if you gave me you, what else do I need? Breathing is overrated if we're not doing it in unison. I want to love you like I deserve to be and don't deserve to be, like I'm appreciating being unworthy. My cup runneth over so much so there was no container large enough. It's like pouring a waterfall into a Dixie cup. I love you. Beyond saying it. See, sex with you is not better than an in-depth conversation with tangents and run-on sentences. Look, I'd rather walk with a thought than lay down malice. Yet, I do want to kiss you where the sun don't shine and where the moon controls your tide. See, to look at you is good for my eyes. Matter of fact, to look at you is God for my eyes. Even though spirit is immeasurable, yours is just my size. You complete me completely. Without you, what is? Like if the world ended tomorrow? Cool. I wouldn't care anyway because I don't have you. I mean, please, give me you for me in exchange. Let's age, wither away, die, reincarnate, and then meet each other all over again. See, the flesh lives once, but the soul transcends. So next time, you be the man, I'll be the woman. Because if you were truly love with a person, you could play both ends. I just want to cuddle with you for an eon. We love below the skin and above each other's expectations. Like, how in the name of Jessica could I care more for you than I already do?
Wow.
I love it. I love it.
Let's go ahead and drop
Have you
that mic
performed
over
that
there.
for Never mind. I won't even ask you that question.
Who is she? Who is she?
Who is she?
Like I said,
GC.
single people write the best poems. You got the best relationship advice.
Oh,
too.
everybody in the control room is snapping. They're all snapping. This is great. All right, Shonda, your turn.
So this is a poem from my upcoming book. It's coming out in hopefully in December or January. And looking at the title, it's called The Goddess Chronicles. I guess it's probably my anti-Donald Trump poem as well. But when you talked about the young man who read a poem about his daughter getting shot by a stray bullet, I have a friend whose daughter actually in Los Angeles was shot by a stray bullet. So combining that with the term "the feminine being" by Maria Rayner. So I wanted to write a poem about women and us being safe. And so here's the poem. There was a moment before that one, before phone call about Zuri, when I waited underground in the dimness of the New York subterranean world, when I thought, this is it, the poem for us, before the phone call. This was the poem for us, mass of bodies against my pen, the little girl in me, in us all, last poem in a book, last book in a library, the poem that would give us back to ourselves without scratches, our wrists, our ankles, they stare but do not see, without stakes or bullets through our backs, without our precious milk melting on funeral pyre, our bones together in one place, not separated and polished and buried in a man's floor, his yard, his car trunk, his walls, not sucked on with our daughter's mother's blood spilling on ghetto concrete, Zuri's death, their initiation victory again, our bones without rape, without war, death from childbirth, without longing, without good or bad, judgment of our musk-filled sex, just us, ourselves, a single self, not the belonging self, not the mother or wife or aunt or grandma, my husband, my father, my son, just us, the feminine being.
Wow. Look, I have to snap on that one too.
I concur.
Absolutely. When you all are going to write, Robbie, I'll start with you because you said you just got back from a kind of retreat.
Yeah.
What do you do when you are about to write, or does something just hit you and you could be in the middle of Hampton Boulevard and you just got to pull over and write it down? How does that happen?
I think it's different for every writer, really. I mean, I remember when and Godchild remembers this. He's one of my early mentors, where it seemed like every time I had a thought, I would have to write it down. Like, make sure you write that down. Right? And it drove me crazy. And so the writing process for me doesn't exactly work that way. I think it's a lot like any other art. You get your canvas out, you sit at the piano, and you just start playing with words. You sit down there and play with that thing. See what happens, see what you come up with. Certainly, I do think there's some things that you do get inspired instantly. You know, as the rappers say, "Gotta get to the studio," But other times, I really think it's about your process, and so I think if you just got to put work in, like Siebel says, it's about hustling hard. So you got to put that heart in your work and make it happen, make it sing,
work hard,
make the words sing.
Shonda, what's your process?
Whenever I can. I still write on napkins. I'm recording as I drive cross country. I'm recording my poems. The poem that I just read, I literally was waiting for a train in New York underground, and the shaft of light actually came through, and the poem just like unfolded, in front of me as everyone was passing me by, and all the New York smells were happening. So I had to stop and write, just grabbed whatever paper I had in my purse and just wrote. So the process is different for me also. I'm working on a book about Nina Simone, and that's really different. And so what I'm going to have to do is immerse myself in her music, because there's so many different aspects, to it, of her. So I'm going to get out my record player that my daughter bought me and play the 9 albums that one of my friends gave to me. I actually have Nina Simone albums, and I'm going to work on the poetry that I've had in my head for the last 10 years. Got about 5 of them, but yeah, the process is different.
What about you, Godchild?
I guess I would liken it to like a plug in a socket that's not all the way plugged in. So sometimes it'll get like I have no control over it. It just like I just feel like I'm a go between with the words. So it's like I whenever it hits, it is a privilege. It's like, hey, inspiration. Oh, let's go. I'm writing. I'm not going to waste this time. But even if it's just a couple of lines, whatever, I could come back to it later.
Because I was going to ask you that. Do you start, if you start a poem, do you finish it, or does it, you come back to it, you add to it, you change it? Sometimes
is some of those, because I'll write, the way I write it would be like probably like 3 pages. 2.5 would be a piece. It would be out to like three or so minutes. So that's how I write mine. I always write mine in slam form. Okay. So I can do them in performing and I can do them at a slam. Like always, I just train myself to write like that. But it's like I just sometimes those pieces, even if I didn't finish it, it's like I'll probably scrap it, use a couple of good lines out of that for something else. Yeah. And it was just it was just an exercise, really. Wow. It was just calisthenics, this writing. Yeah. So when did each of you know that you were a poet? And we got about 6 minutes, so after I ask that, I'm going to ask you to read one more poem before we have to go. So when did each of you know that you were a poet? Did it come down and hit you in the head? I've been rhyming since I was 9 years old.
Me too.
Wow.
I went from hat, bat, rat, cats, till I got almost to a cuss word and I had to stop. Yeah. Another word.
Scat.
Go again. You know what I'm saying? Keep going.
Yeah, for me, it was around 10, 11.
10 or 11.
Yeah, Miss Henderson's English class.
Wow.
Yeah.
Wow. You remember that name?
Yeah.
Wow.
She really encouraged poetry, and I just loved the way, I'm getting excited now. Like, it's the first time. I just loved the way, like my colleagues here, we can just play with words, and I just fell in love with that. Never stopped.
Mrs. Larson.
All right, so
yeah.
Mrs. Larson for you?
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah.
9 years old, yeah.
9 years old.
4th grade.
All right, we've got 5 minutes, so each of you take about a minute and a half minute or so. Let's do one more poem, and then we're going to freelance something to take me into pledge. Godchild, let me start with you.
Okay. See if I can get this. Okay, it has to be short, so I can't do that one. Trust is rare to come by and easily broken. See, the same hand that helps can harm, depending who's at the end of that arm. So it's hard to really love when you can't fully give up your guard. Love is effortless. It has no room for pessimists treating relationships like a job with no recompense. You can only give what you get, and since you be getting nothing, that's all you expect. But what's a kiss without reciprocity on your lips? Making your past tense so you can actually live in the present and see a future in the distance. I am not him, just like you are not her. So whatever occurred before this instance has no business in our relationship. If you be the change you expect, then love becomes effortless.
Wow, cool. Shonda, let's get right into it. We got 3 minutes left.
Everyday Black history. I said I would never write a Black history poem because that would mean, well, we were the past. I am just a poet, teaching things my Black Peastone Ranger, teacher-taught African drummer turned holy man of South Central L.A., bones crushed against free people's colored dreams, learned from his teacher, griffin-eyed Gnostic, who learned from Dr. Ben, Jope, Hatshepsut, Clark, Rosie Krishnas, Makeda, Jesus, things unseen. And now they are counting each other's bones in their untrust graves. I take my students to the cemetery on Hampton University's campus, only to have my mouth rubbed by oil of unforgetfulness, to museums, and I say, no hocus pocus here, nothing unholy, unblack, church-like. Take them to Emancipation Tree, to people breathing one breath of freedom. And when my students walk away, seeing with one eye into the heart of the next generation, when they leave, are they still there? Is the dust on their souls just dust? Or will they become the visions in their shadows, buffalo queen or soldier? Is this the beginning of things unseen for them as well?
Wow. Robbie.
In a city project, someone is always screaming. In high rises, voices grow like night moths. And if you don't listen because it's not your scream, it is still attached to your ears. In that city project, as an abandoned child, you ignore when he knocks on your steel door, and if you do not answer, it is because he begs too much, or sometimes he just stares at the cubbyhole. The dirt is ground into interior eggshell walls, and the lighters that burn messages into them never have owners. The streets screech every hour. Ghetto drag racing gives birth to angry geriatrics who remember quieter times. Over the hill is the street where the Badlands are, because everyone is not who they seem to be. See, my street is quiet tonight. My street has solemn night walkers. My street is too quiet tonight. Will you recognize the scream, or is it already in your mouth, climbing out of your throat, deafened by what your eyes see? When they tear this place down, where will the people be who knew it when?
Wow. You know, that resonates on a whole nother level in terms of dealing with neighborhoods and being torn down and things being different. You guys are phenomenal. That's all I
Thanks
can say.
for having me on the show. Thanks for having us on the show.
Phenomenal.
Yes.
Celebrating
Absolutely.
poetry, Barbara.
Absolutely.
Thank
And
you.
we're going to do it again, I promise. Godchild,
I'll be up.
Shonda Buchannnan, Eris, known as Robbie Ciara. And we will be right back.
Hello, this is Spike Lee. What's happening? And you listen to Another View, 89.5 FM on WHRV.
And welcome back. So I have put our three poets on the spot because they're going to think of something to say about pledge in terms of a poem or a spoken word thing here. So are we starting with Robbie and going through, or how are we doing this?
Yes.
Is that we doing? Okay, Robbie.
I'll have one line.
Okay, you have one line.
Pledge for promise pockets, find home and purse strings and things, make it rain until the birds can't sing.
Wow. Pledge. Giving is better than receiving. So please open up your purse strings.
Haiku. The key to success, pick people over profit. You'll always be rich.
Oh, you guys are fabulous. Thank you so very, very
I don't
much.
know how I remember that, but I did.
So producer Lisa Gotti, audio engineer Victor Bowen, and I are so very grateful for those of you who support Another View, not only by listening, but by becoming a member. Now, there's still time. Call 889-9476 and tell the volunteer how much you love Another View. Support what you love, and we thank you so much. And Lisa, do we have a total? Or do we have a number? If you can get that for me, I'd appreciate it. And there are many, many ways to experience this show and all of our shows again. You can go to anotherviewradio.org and download the podcast. You can download the WHRO Media app and listen at any time. You can go to YouTube, click on the WHRO channel, and then Another View and watch the radio show. And you can always stream us live on Fridays at noon on our website, anotherviewradio.org. We're on Facebook at the Another View Radio Show, and I'm on Twitter at Barbara Ham Lee. Next week, it's Another View on Health with Dr. Keith Newby. Find out why, how, and where your child sleeps really matters. Our theme music was composed and performed by Jay Sennett. Lisa Godley is our show producer. Victor Bowen is our audio engineer, and Nicholas Thomas was on our phones. I don't know if we have a total, but I'm going to hope that we made it. We are at 1354. You still have time to call. We got to get to that 2,500, so call now, 889-9476. Call now. Help us meet the match of $2,500. I'm Barbara Ham Lee. Have a fabulous weekend, everyone. And let's get together again next Friday at noon for Another View.